making a video. I think so, anyway. Yeah, so a couple of subjects. Figured I'd just do this quickly on this toolbar thing. Comments were all very useless. You know, the Richard Feynman guy had to go. But anyway, you know, just cracks about how my websites are ugly, this is ugly. I don't even know how somebody can complain it's a link bar. You know, it has to be attractive. You people are insane. So anyway, this guy, I think I will block him because this is just too stupid a comment. Your tool does not ride the waves well with my surfing style. It's a bookmark. You click on it, the tool opens. Look, see, you know, say if I was on this web page and I thought other people might like this to see this video. Alright, not complicated. I hit the link. I say, oh yeah, there's an image, there's the text, edit now. There, it pops right on there. And how is that in conflict with your style? I just don't see the point of this. I use Chrome with the following extensions. Well, if you use Chrome, you can still hit bookmarks. So what does that have to do with anything? What does it have to do with the usefulness or unusefulness of a link bar, community links, community bookmarks? Does it have anything to do with that subject? No. Alright, ad block. No ads, even YouTube. Yeah, so you're almost a negative thing on my on my channel, right? I mean, you know, don't you think the advertisers know who blocks ads? Of course they do. So that demographic doesn't get represented. So whatever tracing or following of you they do, they put you in a classification and they say these kind of people don't want to pay for their content. So let's not, you know, and so I'm just saying that the content you would like will be the content they are not going to promote or put on the front page or doing that kind of stuff with, because it's content that people who don't want to pay for content, and I mean pay indirectly, but at least looking at ads, whether you want to see them or not is, who cares? The point is if you're not even going to look at them, that's a demographic in itself, and you're basically saying don't provide content for me on the internet. That's basically, it's the same as television, right? The people who don't respond to ads won't have content created for them. That's how the world works, fucktard. But who cares? It's your right to block ads. I just don't know how it's relevant to what I've done, how it has, why I should give a fuck how you surf the internet. That wasn't the subject of the video, wasn't how I surf the internet. It was about one stupid bookmarklet tool, you stupid fuck. Search plus. Search all tabs for a word. I don't think I've ever... Why would I want to do that? Why would I ever want to search all my tabs for a word? My tabs don't have... None of these pages on my tabs have anything to do with each other. One's a physics lecture, one's my home... Why would I search all of those pages for any word? Why would I ever want to do that? Oh, that's right. I never would. Tab outliner. Organize and archive tabs, websites hierarchically. They're already right there. That's the one. I don't get that either. Toggle switch recent last tabs. Well, who the fuck cares about that one either? It's right there. Control tab button works quite well. White space. Write thoughts for later plain text. Yeah, well, you can write thoughts on here too, to other people and such. So anyway, yeah, fuck you for just a marvelously irrelevant, useless, essentially trollish comment. Fuck you. Oh, I can't block you here, so I'm not on the right channel. But remind me later. Asshole. And then, you know, the whole thing, what's the point of even blocking people? Because people still respond to people you've blocked, which doesn't make any sense. So they show the comment, you respond to somebody who's blocked. I can't read their comment because they're blocked. YouTube is just... It's idiotic. Alright, enough of that. So now on to Old Fan. She made a video about art. I didn't like it much. It's all fine. I mean, she's just saying it's her opinion, so that's all fine. You know, everybody's entitled to one, and all that stuff. So, in paraphrase, you know, she thinks art's for everyone, and everybody should call themselves an artist, no matter what they're doing, and that there shouldn't be a hierarchy or any kind of standards or any kind of anything. The word should mean almost zero. you know, and that's why I've never gone near the word. It's because it doesn't mean a damn thing. And I think part of that's a little bit unfortunate. I would like, if I was going to strive to be an artist, to be somebody who could be called an artist, I'd like the word to mean something then. That you've achieved a certain competence and certainly you can be innately talented at something, and I'm not saying that's not possible, but I think it's just kind of wrong to not realize or not acknowledge that it's even like being literate or being an actor or something. It's not a nothing skill. I mean, to even be able to read lines and recite lines is a skill. Being able to to stay in personality. These are all things that are a certain skill level to them, and so you wouldn't just say being an actor is nothing. Everybody's an actor. And I just think artist, especially from its tradition, sort of meant that either you're very creative in terms of creating images or ideas or connecting things together, or you're very good at rendering those into some other form. So you're either very good at conception and then adequate at rendering, or you could be mediocre at conception, but you're really good at rendering. And a balance of those two skills is sort of necessary, in my opinion, to be an artist. You have to have one of those. If you don't have one of them, I don't think you're an artist. I don't think you should be calling yourself one. To say that anything is art, it's something that's good for. I don't think it's good for art to make art, to give it no integrity, to say it doesn't have to have any integrity. There's a difference between professional and amateur, and I think if you're going to call yourself an artist, you should have achieved some sort of professionalism in some element of creation or rendering. I think it's probably enough said. Just my opinion and such. So, now on to, Puro made a video that was a little bit weird. Reminiscent of the old drinking days, actually, which, I don't know, who knows. Brought up some of his, his PSD thing. Daughter, blah, 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 whole life event stuff. And while I don't deny him the idea of being haunted by it or troubled or, I'm still emotionally not right about this rather dramatic event in his life. So I'm not at all saying anything about that. I mean, it's just so hard to, again, it's this philosophy versus psychology stuff, and I think as a philosophical statement, I think we could all say or understand that we would advise each other to always try to apply that kind of perspective, to take this emotional stuff. And I don't mean stuff that it's part of your personality, or I mean that there's parts of life that are just not traumas you can get over. I mean, just being alive is kind of a trauma I've never gotten over, and you can't just think those out of owning you. But I guess the grief and those kind of losses or emotional things, missing somebody, even the breakup of a marriage or something. These are things, I guess, sort of, I'm saying you could probably find some elasticity in your psychological reaction, and you can play with that a little bit with your ideas. Your ideas can soothe fix, create perspective that can make it possible for you to contextualize and find acceptance in it easier than some things. Like I said, you can't, it's like, I've used these examples, but you could argue that sexual preference is something that's just so innate. It's like your sense of smell. There's certain parts of your sensibilities and your character that you really just can't do anything about. It's just the way you are. You either like something, you don't like something. No matter how much context you apply, you're just not going to be able to remold yourself into somebody who likes, it's like foods and stuff. It's hard to, you can certainly transition in the sense that you can take things out of your diet, but it's hard to make yourself like something you didn't like or don't like. Something like that. So anyway, that's all I would say, is that would be the rational thing to say, is that these kinds of emotional reactions are emotional reactions that we probably, I guess there's times in my life where I would have appreciated if somebody would just made that distinction to me, would have just pointed out to me, your psychology, you're letting your psychology control your perspective, and you're not applying any context. So you're just seeing, you're just missing something. But if you really think about it, there wasn't the happily ever after. There wasn't something, your brain has turned, the thing that was into something is overvalued and and not appreciated, that it wasn't yours to control in the first place or something like that. So it's this better perspective would be not to think that it's almost like blaming yourself or something or all that. It's just, there's no real point in playing those kind of remorseful things, and beyond the fact of be educated by them and try to do better. But they're not stuff you can fix or clean up. You can't undo. So, yeah. So I sort of talked about that before, so probably have nothing. Yeah, so I mean, it's just it's difficult. So I guess there was some feminist video, response to Coughlin video from some guy. I watched a little bit of it, but it was already annoying. And then Indifference Guy, who, I have such trouble with that person. But anyway, I mean, maybe she's one of these women-hating women things, self-hating women. There's a lot about women to be irritated by, but it really is. I'm just this whole rationalization, like somehow Coughlin shouldn't make the argument that how many times have one of you MRA guys been accused falsely of rape? And it's sort of a valid question to ask, because yeah, you're boogeymanning, you're straw manning, you're scapegoating rape into some sort of thing. Well, it makes up for rape? Women making false accusations of rape. Like it's somehow these are comparable subjects, or that it's even appropriate to bring up one kind of crime, as a way of defending one crime, you bring up some other crime, like somehow two wrongs make a right or something. It just doesn't work that way. The fact that we haven't created a legal system that makes it clear to people that if you lie in court, you're going to go to jail for a long time, that's a different subject than rape. And obviously people who use the court system in some sort of malicious way, I think, should go to jail for a long time. It's a substantial and significant crime, but it's a different crime than rape. Very different. So there's no reason to bring up women who make false accusations of rape as a counter-argument to rape. It's just totally inappropriate. And on top of that, going further, Yeah. Um, it's that's a fixable problem, and the rape thing is a fixable problem, and they have to be dealt with as individual subjects that have individual solutions. They all have individual causes, and you'd almost argue that for you to be in a circumstance where some woman's making a false accusation against you for rape, that you probably did something, right? It's not like, it's a little hard to imagine how the perfectly innocent male gets into that kind of trouble. Whether the trouble was getting into a relationship with a woman who was unstable or drug addict, or, you can go through the 9 million list, but, you men know this shit, and you're just saying, well, she's got nice tits. I mean, you see this shit all the time. It's like this anacondavat kook, who's the next video. One of these people who marries outside of his religion, so to speak. And you're just like saying, well, what do you... This makes sense to you? So, I mean, obviously people end up in relationships with people who, if they really thought about how stable or unstable the person is emotionally, they know better. But they don't do better because they're just looking for the short term kind of thing. But I'm just saying, you probably had to do some damage to some person if they're going to show up in some court and point their finger at you and say you raped them. And obviously if they're going to do that, they're also psychotic. And really the subject isn't really psychotic. The subject is date rape and rationalizations or excuse making for violations of other people's dignity. And I think it just sucks to combine those subjects. So fuck you and fucking different sky. And I didn't watch Coughlin's video, all of it, so I don't know whether he was right or wrong about everything, but I think it's perfectly legitimate to ask people whining about women ruining their lives for them to demonstrate how they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't do anything to create the problem. I don't think that's true. Anyway, so let's do some of this anacondavat crap. So he's doing this, the whale life affirmation and tantra, but really he was talking about life denial, he calls it. And, right there, he won't allow somebody to call him an atheist because he doesn't believe in a God. But he, of course, is allowed to characterize people who have a philosophy as a certain kind of philosophy, that it's life denial. It's not life rejection or life repudiation, which might even be better words, or simply being rational and recognizing that life isn't sufficient to its purpose, which is nothing but consumption, reproduction, cannibalism, and death. So anyway, I'll jump to around here, and then I'll jump through the rest of it.
Past. I'm going to try to analyze it while I'm in it, but it's not always easy to do that because it's just total chaos up there.
Whatever that means. So anyway, there's another thing. So this whole tantra thing, he says, so even the one part in here, he says he's not terribly passionate about anything except his tantra. This, whatever it is, this don't worry, be happy crap. And you're almost thinking, okay, so here you are, you're not a life denier, but you're saying that if you didn't have tantra, you might be in deep shit, because you're not really passionate about anything except your little tantra. And so what if there was no tantra? Then did you have the same glorified, wonderful opinion of life without tantra? And is it your expectation that your child is going to be a tantraite? You don't think that the odds are it's not going to be a tantraite? And you really don't see a correlation between intelligence and finding life less than tantrific. Most intelligent people find life a little bit difficult because they see all the strings, all the connections, and they see how dangerous it can be, and how it takes more than good intentions. It takes something called wisdom to get through life without making a mess. and that all of that requires a certain kind of discipline in how you act and how you live, and all of that's kind of work. You don't think that's more likely to be what your child might gravitate to, unless, like Gandhi, you decide to raise your child as an ignorant monkey? Yeah. So you'll solve the problem by keeping your child stupid? But you really think it can be intelligent and not find life tedious and difficult, especially life as most cultures are currently defined. Silly person.
So you end up just laying down on the couch and waiting for it to go away. Terrifying feeling, actually, believe it or not. You think that that's easy. Okay, I'm just depressed. I'll wait for it to go away. Well, that assumes that you are sure that it will go away.
Well, apparently you're sure, right? You're sure enough to impose it on somebody else. I mean, shouldn't that be a kind of a... one would say that you must have an awful lot of confidence that it will go away, that somehow they won't be sucked into the void. Or what, you have no confidence and you just don't give a shit.
And one of the things about depression is that certainty is absent. You don't believe that you'll ever get better. But anyway,
certainty is ever present. Is that what you said? Obviously, that's not true. You were saying you were depressed a couple of weeks ago or whatever, and then you said, "Oh, but I'll get over it." And then 2 days later, you were over it, right? So even what you say doesn't mean anything. I mean, we all have life experience, and obviously, it may be true that an adolescent doesn't think they'll ever get over it. But once you've lived a while and you've been depressed a few hundred times, it becomes quite apparent that there's ups and downs. The sun will come out tomorrow, and I'll go swimming or I'll do something, and it'll be very nice and la 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 la. But the truth is, it's not going to change the fundamental nature of the imbecilic game.
it's just that I think that there is an element of will involved when it comes to things like depression, when it comes to things like life denial, because your will is intervening to alter your perceptions, or something is altering.
Yeah, whatever. Altering. Again, altering by what? Through what mechanism? Again, there's no rational arguments in any of this shit, right? So it's just these generic accusations of some misperception, some flaw of character or understanding. No specifics, though. No explanation of how one can perceive evolution and perceive, especially mammalian evolution, and see that you're the people who are clueless. That you have absolutely no understanding of sentience on planet Earth, and no understanding of what gives a life meaning or character, is the very fact that they are a sensual organism, not the fact that they can say tantra.
In your perceptions, to make them appear purely negative.
Whatever, purely negative. It's not an accurate description, and it's not accurate. Why? Oh, that's right. Because we don't know anything? Because we don't know what evolution is? We haven't looked out with the telescopes, and there's no writing out there, there's no words, there's no tantra seeping from the rest of the universe. Radiation. Lots of radiation.
And not just negative in a just a positive negative paradigm where we don't really place value on positive or negative, but negative in a...
And where we don't place value on positive and negative. I don't even know what that means. Does that mean something to you, people?
Malignant, kind of cancerous, hostile.
Yeah, whatever. Right, so it's cancer, evolution, the theory of evolution, science. These are cancerous thoughts. That's what this guy is saying. What you need is fantasy and some silly hope and live in the moment kind of nonsense. So that's wisdom. Wisdom is you know, deny the fact that you've read the whole book. Deny that you know how it turns out. Just pretend like a child.
A kind of negative, as in, what we might call conventionally or ridiculously overstatedly evil.
What exactly is overstated evil? Oh, frying another sentient organism for breakfast. That's an overstatement. Yeah, sure it is. Let's jump ahead.
But it's not something that you would seek under any circumstances. However, as I say, I'm not sure that the will is free.
You can hear a little brat crying in the background. I'm not sure it's free will. See, I mean, it's just, yeah, that book is closed. And what would free be anyway? It doesn't make any sense. You've got to know these arguments already. Obviously, we are creatures of the knowledge base that exists. And you can apply the sensible judgment of respecting evidence to found your beliefs, or you can respect gobbledygook.
The will may do things, and it may not be under your own control. It may not be under the control of that which expresses the will.
Whatever. The control of, like I said, what's controlling you? So again, it's almost an idiotic argument. Is knowledge of evolution a controlling fact? I mean, we can just go through all this, and even in the biblical sense, the tree of knowledge. That yes, this the problem is this. It's the tree of responsibility. It's a tree that has all kinds of fruit on it, and some of it's burdensome. Most of it. But you just want to keep playing like a child and not take responsibility for the welfare that it lies at stake in the will of mankind. The collective judgment that will be applied, the collective direction the species will march, and you take no responsibility.
So it goes to places and it turns your reality into something horrible. Tantra says you can reverse that process, or at least stand that process on its head.
Whatever. Yeah, you can deny the truth. So you can call us life deniers, you're logic deniers. Your wisdom deniers, your truth deniers, your fact deniers. Yuck.
Engage the will in order to change your perceptions into something good. Now, we have evidence that you can actually do this in everyday life. I have a little boy who's, you may hear in the background, wailing away. He's actually not crying. He just likes to blah, 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 as babies will. And in a couple of years, his, what we would call childhood imagination is going to kick in. He's going to watch cartoons. He's going to listen to nursery rhymes and get an enormous kick out of it all. That's just what babies or toddlers do.
That's what some adults apparently do.
Why is that? Why is the same thing when you recite Jack and Jill went up the hill to a little kid? They get this rush of joy, or they sometimes do. Whereas an adult goes, whatever. I would say that it's because we have attempted to harness our will, or we have attempted to, in the process, I guess, of civilizing ourselves, if you...
Oh, this is so irritating. We. Why don't you just talk in terms of you and them? Be a lot better than this we nonsense.
Civilizing, if you want to say that. We've had to sort of mold our characters in a certain way and say that now it's time to take this life thing very seriously and forget about the frivolities that we learned in the cradle.
That's not even the truth. The point is there's a time to jerk off and a time to manage the nuclear power plant. You don't do the two things. You don't interchange the activities. You understand the difference between entertainment and productivity. You understand the difference between fantasy and reality. Wow, asking too much, huh?
You have to, I think, somehow intervene to get people out of that state. Somehow intervene to get people out of the state where little things have enormous value. You know, as you get older, you get more jaded, I guess, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, whatever. None of this, none of this means anything to me personally. Is that how it worked for you in life? You were more comfortable in your life 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago? Or do you find it's, yes, with experience comes knowledge, and it becomes a little easier to see the traps, the doors that are right there. You can see the signs of them, the little lines around the edges of them and shit, and so you don't fall through as many of them. And you don't think there's value in that? Come on.
Now, why is that? Why do we get more jaded? Why do we get more...
Because they're all bad jokes. That's pretty much it, right? You laugh when you're a kid because you're ignorant and stupid, and you just don't know any better. And later you find out these are really bad jokes, because this shit isn't a joke.
I don't know, negative about the world, if just by virtue of having gotten older, the magic of childhood goes away as you learn that, you know, you're...
Yeah, sciatica. You learn a few things in life. You have a few really you make a few dumb, humiliating mistakes, and then you personally endure some circumstances that seem ludicrous and preposterous, and you realize that this isn't a toy. It's not a stuffed animal. There's a real grittiness to this thing called existence.
Your Christmas is the diminishing value that you have every morning when you wake up and look at your toys and, wow, doesn't seem as great as it did last year. There's a reason for that. You're not the same person as you were last year, and you're a little bit more cynical and a little bit more suspicious of this world thing that you wholeheartedly believed in.
Whatever that means. You're not suspicious for bad reasons. You're suspicious for rational reasons. You've been there. You've done that. You've seen how this sort of works. You recognize that it's all addictive psychology, and you say, oh, wait a minute. 2 weeks later, I'm going to say I didn't really need that. That's the pattern, and you say, well, why don't I just prevent that pattern? It's a stupid pattern.
Or one could say that you didn't really believe in any of it, but you projected your own desires onto it, your own desires to see good, and now you're seeing that it's just a place where good will not come at you.
Well, frankly, I'm just saying, you realize what life, death, pain, suffering, all these things are. As a kid, yes, you don't. You don't have enough perspective. So you're not capable of putting it in a context, and then you realize that unbeknownst to you, you have been injected into a world by plainly ignorance, stupid, ignorant, selfish, arrogant decision making that wasn't at all reasonable. Your assumption as a child is the adults, know what they're doing, and you find out, no, they're all on crack. And it's a real kind of crack. I mean, it's just they're football fans. They're silly, stupid fucktards.
For good will not come at you unbidden the way that it used to when you were younger. You have to
jump ahead a little.
Force that's out there called the will, in order to help you control those forces.
Oh, he's back on the horse thing. But whatever. Like I said, this will thing just doesn't go anywhere. Your will is a byproduct. It's not producing. It's being produced?
Because the will seems to have a will of its own. um,
Cliche much? Jump ahead.
Unconditional love of God in the universe is, the best. So take your pick. But the long and the short of it is, the will seems to be involved.
What? Involved? There's just no logic to any of this. Okay, this is another child speaking, right? It's a childish notion. This idea that there's a you, okay, controlling your brain. No, your brain is making you, not the other way around.
Will is either not being used to the advantage of that which has a will. I don't want to say the I.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, to the advantage of. I get right there. I mean, what's the point? So I'm just saying, if you're just reasonably a little bit intelligent, you recognize that the game you're in is not a game for singles. It's not you against the world. It's not you eating the world. The world isn't made out of gingerbread. It's made out of other people, their welfare, their destiny, their pain, their suffering. And then there's other sentient organisms that are also invested in existence. There's no to your advantage that makes any rational sense. It's not a logical way to look at your existence. The game isn't me. It's not the game. You can't call planet Earth and look at it and say me. It's just not rational.
Or the me, or the personality, or the mind, or whatever. Although mind seems to be the easiest one for us to swallow, so I'll just say mind.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, say the one. Don't ever go near anything called a scientific term like brain. Brain.
The mind is not engaging the will will not be engaged. The will wants to go to the negative place. But I want the will to go to the positive place. What wants the will to go to the positive place? You see, you get this sort of strange interlock.
Yes, right. The will wants the will to be the will of the willing, of the willer, of the willy willer, willy will.
A series of wills inside of yourself. But the will can intervene, the mind can intervene, or the manipulation of perception can have the effect of turning the universe into a good or a bad place.
Whatever. You turn it into it, right? So we don't describe the reality. We don't try to accurately describe reality. Now we just decide to make it pink or blue.
Absolutely certain that this was going to work out for you. And it was going to turn you into the happiest individual in the universe. And that was one of the life lessons that you get early in life. Having your hopes crushed. Having your unrealistic hopes crushed because you have decided that the universe is absolutely wonderful and all you need is that curly-haired girl and everything is wonderful. That's puppy love. That's sort of irresponsible hooray for everything, a la...
yeah, whatever. Even that kind of description is kind of stupid, because there is no other kind of love but puppy love, realistically. The rest of it is a lot more complicated than love, because again, it becomes obligation, commitment, entanglements, all that kind of stuff. It's a lot more gnarly than love.
Ned Flanders. The universe is both, I suppose, or up here is both. How do we so engineer our experiences that we avoid that which is toxic to us?
Avoid that which is toxic to us. Yeah, right, like the truth. I mean, that's just amazing. That should be the standard. How do we avoid the inconvenient truths? right? So we're just back to why the human race sucks, is because it keeps wishing the truth to be something it's not. We can borrow money forever and it's not a problem. We'll just pretend it's okay, and therefore it's okay.
And cleave to that which is healthy for us. What is it that makes Christmas for a child very pleasant and could be?
Yeah, again, I don't know, it's very pleasant. I mean, there seems to be an awful lot of want leading up to it. Yes, the day is fun. And then there's the disappointing withdrawal afterwards. But all in all, is it really worth the trouble? I mean, would you be better off not having expectations? I think probably.
A natural state, because you're young and you're less influenced by the world. And as you get older, Christmas becomes more of a pain in the neck for a lot of people, myself included. I don't like Christmas.
Then why did you bring it up? Why do you, why should I care? I mean, this is such a, I mean, this is just useless commentary. I do believe in Tantra, though. I mean, that, what do you think the odds are? Christmas or Tantra? Which one do you think I'm going to pick? Jeez. I mean, I'd rather have neither, like the pain of psoriasis.
But the main thing is, though, of course, is the loss of your ability to manipulate your experiences. When you're stuck in a depression, you can't manipulate your way out of it.
So again, it's this association that any kind of negative thinking is depression. All positive thinking is benign, doing good. So it's like any risk aversion, negative. Recklessness, good. I mean, it's worse than cliche philosophy. It's just bad cliches.
When you're hopelessly and unrealistically happy, and you're just waiting, or reality is just waiting apparently to smash you to atoms, you've lost control of the situation. It's like,
well, I think you've lost control. Actually, a 50-year-old guy with a baby seems like a guy who's kind of lost control. Yeah, he's giving control away.
Interested in. Also, I'll say that I haven't been very good at keeping up with comments. I'm usually very good, but repetitive strain injury, I'm trying to avoid using the keypad. So I'm making longer
repetitive strain injury. It's just this video is a strain injury. I have repetitive strain injury now.
videos.
I think I'll use that. Yeah.
Cover the stuff that's coming.
Maybe I can sue Canada.
Up in the comments, just so people know. I'm usually quite diligent. In fact, I try to answer every single comment as it comes up.
You don't answer comments, you trite on them. Yeah, you trite.
So, yeah, I think I'll get back to atheism versus India after this wonderful jaunt into Tantra.
Oh, I thought that was the subject. I thought Tantra was India versus atheism. Oh, fuck. There's nothing but bad shows on your channel there, buddy. I just wish there was somebody. There's just, the internet is so fucking dead. Dead, dead, dead. There's just nothing. There's nobody. Everybody's an idiot. Because, yeah, I really wouldn't bother, with this crap. If there was some other crap to bother with, but everybody is just so full of shit. Oh, man, it's just never been this bleak. So, shit. nothing I can do about it. So see, that's one of those things where, yeah, rationally you can understand. Nothing I can do about the pitiful quality of the philosophizing on the tubes. So I'm just stuck. You know, I have to live with it. So I'll just make a joke and have a scratch and a sip of coffee and a bit of cigarette and just grin and bear it, so to speak, and such. That's all you can do. So anyway, till the next time, I'll be complaining about something else, no doubt. So, just bad. Ow, an itch. Still trying to fix another computer now. I'm pulling out all the old computers saying, I gotta get one of these fuckers to work. Look. They're all doing stupid things. They're not doing anything obvious, which is irritating. So anyway, I mean, green lights. It's got green lights all over the place. Just won't turn on. Anyway, until next time.